Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you some Dollar Tree fall DIYs which I hope you really like, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So to start out with the first DIY, I just grabbed one of Dollar Tree's like maple wood leaves, and then using some of Apple Barrel's acrylic paints, I used a couple different reds, a brown and a black. I just mixed together until I got like this pretty dark burgundy color, and then I went ahead and used a Dollar Tree foam brush to go ahead and give the entire thing a coat of paint. Next, I just took one of Dollar Tree's metal thankful words and hot glued that on top of my painted leaf, and that was it for this DIY. It was super quick and super simple, but I really liked the way it turned out. Next up, I'll be taking one of Dollar Tree's little wood plaques and then painting it with some Waverly White chalk paint using a Dollar Tree sponge brush. And the paint is from Walmart. So then using some of that same red paint mixture that I made up earlier for my leaf, I'm going to be grabbing one of these natural wood letters and painting it red, and then grabbing one of Dollar Tree's like beaded strands and then figuring out like how much of a handle or whatever you want to call it on the top, and then just taking a piece of twine with a piece of tape wrapped around the end and then stringing them on, and then I'll be hot gluing it to the back of my plaque. And then this is how it turned out. So to start this DIY, I'm going to be grabbing 4 of Dollar Tree's palettes, and then once I peeled off the labels from the back, I'm going to be giving them several coats of a white spray paint, which I believe is from Home Depot. Next up, I'll be using one of Dollar Tree's wooden chucks and then just painting it with a variety of different colors from Waverly chalk paint, which is again from Walmart. Of course, not sponsored. I have like 10 subscribers, so of course it's not sponsored. Anyways, so painting the truck a dark gray and then painting like the tire a black and then like the actual wheel a white, and then I try to leave the bed or like the rail of the truck bed and that natural color, but I'm getting a little bit of gray paint on it, so I just dry brushed over that to make it blend in, and then I of course painted the pumpkins orange. So while my truck was drying, I had to go ahead and connect these wooden pallets together. So I put a little bit of glue like on those cross pieces on the back, and then I put some more glue on there and then put a popsicle stick onto the back just to make sure that it was nice and stable and secure and that it was not going anywhere. And then just repeated this with all 4 of my pallets.
I don't know how we got here, but been going through the phases, baby, and we've been acting crazy lately. And I just wanna let you know that all these feelings come and go. Been going through the phases, baby, and I can feel the times are changing.
So then I just flipped my pallets to the front so that the painted side was showing, and then I flipped my truck to the back and put a bunch of hot glue on there, and then flipped it over and put it on top of my pallets, trying to make sure that it was nice and centered. And I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. Next up, I'll be using one of these really cool Dollar Tree signs, and I love these because they're so easy to DIY with because all you have to do is pop out the back, and then also the frame is really high quality and really nice, and it already has a bead hanger, so I mean, what more can you ask for? So I'm just taking the backing and covering it with some scrapbooking paper from Hobby Lobby. I did have to piece the corners a little bit, but once you put in the frame, you couldn't even tell. So after I popped that back in, I'm using one of Dollar Tree metal words that you can get in like a 5 or a 6-pack from Dollar Tree, and then I'm just going to be giving it a coat of acrylic paint. Again, this is apple barrel acrylic paint from Walmart, and then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and actually flip my sign to the back and cut off the beaded hanger and then glue it on the inside of my sign. So instead of a beaded hanger, it's like a beaded garland thing. I thought this would be really cute, especially since this word isn't very tall vertical wise. So once I did that and hot glued it into my sign, I'm going to hot glue my word in, and that is it for this DIY. Again, so simple. All these DIYs are really simple, but I really love the way it turned out. I think it's one of my favorite DIYs so far this fall. So coming up, we have a fall wreath. I knew I wanted to create one of these this year, so I started by just grabbing some of Dollar Tree's fall picks. They are really pretty ones out, and you just want to grab like a variety, or it depends on like what theme you're going for your wreath. And then I also grabbed one of Dollar Tree's like 18-inch wire wreath forms, which is actually a pretty big wreath form. And then you gotta figure out a way of that works best for you for attaching these picks. I found that putting a little bit of hot glue on there first, so that when I tie a piece of twine around there, there's actually a little bit of stickiness to help the twine stay in place. And then make sure that it was really secure. I actually did a little bit more hot glue on top of that. And again, just find whatever way works best for you. It also depends like on what type of wreath form you're using. Sometimes if you're using like a bamboo or like a vine wreath, you can just like stick them in there and they will stay. And you can always just tack them exactly where you want them, or make sure they're staying in place where you want them with a little bit of hot glue. But yeah, it just depends. And then if you have any like empty spots, just pick a flower or some leaves and hot glue them in there. You can also just hot glue them to another pick if you want them to be a little more on the surface. And yeah, so you're gonna do that all the way around your wreath. Now this is pretty easy once you get like your rhythm down and figure out what you're going to do. And I had no pattern for this. I was just doing oranges and reds, all those different colors. And then I grabbed some of these glittery fall pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I think these came in a 5-pack. And I cut off the wooden stems and then just hot glued them all around my wreath. And these also came, I believe, in a smaller or a bigger size. I'm not for sure. But there are a couple different sizes if you want to look at those. But totally feel free to customize this with whatever you want. You can do any style or color of picks. And yeah, you can even do a different wreath form and only do picks halfway or a third of the way. But yeah, I'm super happy with the way it turned out. And it was actually a really big wreath once I was done with it. So I have this shelf in my room and I wanted to dress it up a little bit and give it some like fall vibes. So I went ahead and took another one of these Dollar Tree like beaded strands or beaded garlands, and after cutting it and then pulling some of the beads off, I went ahead and took a new piece of twine, and the twine I get is from Dollar Tree, and I put a needle on one end and then just knotted the other end to keep them from falling off. And then I think I put like 13 beads on, and then I actually had picked up this pack of felt mini pumpkins from Dollar Tree a while ago. So I opened that up and then I took one of them and I threaded the needle through it. And this is a little hard at first, but if you can get to the other side and just twist it a little bit, it actually pops through really easily. Just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of wiggling, and then once I put the pumpkin on, I just did like another set of beads and then another pumpkin and repeated that until I was all done. So once I was done putting on the beads and the pumpkins, I decided I wanted to add some of Dollar Tree's little chalk ornaments. So I just took the hanger and twisted it and then ended up twisting it around the garland, around the twine, and that was it. This is actually a super simple and quick DIY, and I love how it dresses up my shelf and gives it some more of those fun fall vibes. So for the last DIY, you want to take one of Dollar Tree's glass vases and then mix together some of these pumpkin scented pine cones as well as some other pine cones. Dollar Tree sells some year round, so I ended up using some of those, and I also had some pumpkin, not pumpkin, but pine cone, sorry, pine cone picks, and I ended up just cutting off the pine cones just so that I added some variety, and then it filled up the jar more. So I went ahead and dropped some in, added in some fall picks from Dollar Tree to the top, and then added a little more pine cones around that just to make sure that was nice and stable and that the picks were upright. And yes, that's how it turned out. It was so fun and so quick, and it smells amazing. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you are notified whenever I post, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!